Good day. Welcome to Catholic Saints Stories. I'm the Amateur Hagiographer. The 30th of June is the liturgical commemoration of Blessed Raymond Lull, the 13th and 14th century linguist and missionary to Muslims. And this is what the Catholic Encyclopedia has to say about him. Raymond Lull, also known as Raymond Lull and the Doctor Illuminatus, he was a philosopher, a poet and theologian, born at Palma in Majorca, Spain, between 1232 and 1236. He died at Tunis in Tunisia on 29th of June, 1315. He was probably a courtier at the court of King James of Aragon until about the age of 30. He then became a hermit and afterwards a Franciscan tertiary. From that time, he seemed to be inspired with extraordinary zeal for the conversion of the Muslims. To this end, he advocated the study of Oriental languages and the refutation of Arabian philosophy, especially that of Averroes. He founded a school for the members of his community in Majorca, where special attention was given to Arabic and Chaldean languages. Later, he taught in Paris. About 1291, he went to Tunisia, preached to the Saracens, disputed with them in philosophy, and after another brief sojourn in Paris, returned to the East as a missionary. After undergoing many hardships and privations, he returned to Europe in 1311 for the purpose of laying before the Council of Vienna his plans for the conversion of the Moors. Again in 1315, he set out for Tunis, where he wound up being stoned to death by the Saracens. Raymond's literary activity was inspired by the same purpose as his missionary and educational efforts. In the numerous writings, about 300, which came from his facile pen in Catalonian as well as Latin, he strove to show the errors of Averroism and to expound Christian theology in such a manner that the Saracens themselves could not fail to see the truth. With the same purpose in view, he invented a mechanical contrivance, a logical machine in which the subjects and predicates of theological propositions were arranged in circles, squares, triangles, and other geometrical figures. And then by moving a lever, turning a crank, or causing a wheel to revolve, the propositions would arrange themselves in the affirmative or negative and thus prove themselves to be true. This device he called the Ars Generalis Ultima, or the Ars Magna, and to the description and explanation of it, he devoted his most important works. Underlying the scheme was a theoretical philosophy, or rather a theosophy, for the essential element in Raymond's method was the identification of theology with philosophy. The scholastics of the 13th century maintained that while the two sciences agree, so that what's true in philosophy can't be false in theology, or vice versa, they are nevertheless two distinct sciences, differing especially in that theology makes use of revelation as the source, while philosophy relies on reason alone. The Arabians had completely separated them by maintaining the twofold standard of truth, according to which what is false in philosophy may be true in theology. Raymond, carried on by his zeal for the refutation of Arabians, went to the opposite extreme. He held that there is no distinction between philosophy and theology, between reason and faith, so that even the highest mysteries may be proved by means of logical demonstration and the use of the Ars Magna. This, of course, removed all the distinction between natural and supernatural truth. Raymond's rationalism was of the mystic type. He taught expressly that for the understanding of the highest truths, reason must be aided by faith, that once faith has flooded the soul with its radiance, then reason, enlightened and strengthened by faith, is as capable of showing that there are three persons in one God as it is of proving that there cannot be three gods. Relying on the grace of God, he writes, I intend to prove the articles of faith by convincing reasons. On the other hand, he held that although reason needs the divine assistance, faith is just as much in need of reason. Faith may deceive us unless reason guides it. He who relies on faith alone is like a blind man who, relying solely on the sense of touch, can sometimes find what he wants, but often misses it. To be certain of finding these objects, he needs sight as well as touch. So Raymond held that a man, in order to find out the truth about God, must bring reason to the task as well as faith. These principles were taken up by the followers of Raymond, known as Lullists, who for a time had so great an influence, especially in Spain, that they succeeded in founding chairs at universities in Barcelona and Valencia for the propagation of the doctrines of the illuminated doctor. The church authorities, however, recognized the dangerous consequences which follow from the breaking down of the distinction between natural and supernatural truth. Consequently, in spite of his praiseworthy zeal, his crown of martyrdom, Raymond has not been canonized. His rationalistic mysticism was formally condemned by Pope Gregory XI in 1376, and the condemnation was renewed by Pope Paul IV. His poems and popular treatises, written in Catalonian, had a very wide circulation in his own day, and their style has won him a high place in the history of medieval Spanish literature. That article was by William Turner in the 1913 edition of the Catholic Encyclopedia. Note that modern scholarship kind of disputes where and how he died. And even though some of his writings were condemned, the cultus was confirmed for Blessed Raymond, and he was beatified by Pope Benedict XIV in 1750 and Pope Pius IX in 1847. For more information about Blessed Raymond, his writings, and the rest of your extended family in heaven, come on by and check us out at CatholicSaints.Info or CatholicSaints.Mobi. Thanks for listening.